Hello and welcome back to Wondrous Minds and welcome back to Obscura. Today is International Women's Day and let's discuss the story of a nation where revolution was brought about mainly by women. It might be very strange to note that that country is Iran because today's Iran has almost no rights for women, and there has been multiple protests in the country by women, and there has been brutal crackdowns on them. Today, Iran is facing a crisis. There is a war going on with Israel, and you might have noted many videos of Iranian women celebrating in the country, outside the country. Women are celebrating the death of their supreme leader. So you might be very surprised to know that this regime was brought about by women themselves. So here's the story of Iran. Firstly, the Iranian Revolution deposed the Shahs, the Pahlavi dynasty. But who were they? And their story starts in the year 1921, where the commander of the Persian Cossack Brigade, Reza Khan, found a coup, and he established himself in later on in 1925 as the new ruler of Persia, and he founded the Pahlavi dynasty. He was then known as Reza Shah, and then in 1941 he was also removed from power, and it was by an invasion of British and Soviet troops, and the new king was his son, Muhammad Reza Pahlavi. Now, because his regime started with the allied force of British and Soviet, he was very westernized and he wanted to make his country very westernized. And one of the particular things that were a highlight of this regime was that the Anglo Persian Oil Company had almost a monopoly, and this was a British company. So it's well, you might have guessed what I am trying to say, that what was the situation of Iran that time. Most Iranians were in poverty because they had oil, they were extracting oil, and this oil's profit was not going to Iranians themselves. It was going to Britain. So the then prime minister, so they had this, they were basically a constitutional monarchy of sorts. They had a prime minister who was elected, and so the prime minister Mohammad Mossadegh, he nationalized this company, and then there was another coup. So this coup had him deposed, and Muhammad Reza Pahlavi was the sole and supreme power of authority in Iran after that, and he brought about a white revolution in 1963. So this white revolution tried to westernize Iran, and there were a lot of sweeping changes which were really good. Women got voting rights. Um, then there was land reforms brought about, and also there was privatization of some state-owned entities, so that there is help in the for land reforms. Then there is other various things like profit sharing of profit in factories and all. But there were also other changes which were not liked, and this westernization concept was so far fetched and also so extreme that he basically mandated the removal of the veil, the traditional veil, the hijab, um, and there was promotion of education of young women and all that, which led to very much of discontentment in a country which is otherwise very patriarchal and, well, the orthodox mindset of most people. And the removal of veil and all these things were considered as very sweeping, and even by women, they were encouraged to wear more Western dress and not embrace their tradition. The education system was also very westernized, and they were almost forgetting their own culture and becoming more of someone more Western than Iranian. And this really led to the revolution. In 1979, they had the revolution, the Iranian Revolution, where Khomeini became the leader. Um, so Khomeini was earlier arrested and deposed of the country. His rise was mainly during the White Revolution as an anti-force to the government. He was exiled, he went to France, and then the Iranian Revolution happened. He became a leader, he came back to Tehran and then established the rule of what is the current regime. He became the Ayatollah. So, and in fact, Khomeini recognized the role of women, and he said that you ladies have proved that you are at the forefront of this movement. You have a great share in our Islamic movement. The future of our country depends on your support. And in fact, he even the Islamic regime that started, it didn't give away the women enfranchisement that was earlier carried out, and there was not much sweeping changes in the early days, but one, the burqa was mandated, and while the burqa was one of the symbols of protest during the Iranian Revolution, where they forcefully wore the hijab and the burqa to mark that, well, we are not going to give in to your demands of westernization, we will not give up our tradition. But then that is today what is also one of the deeply contested rules, that, well, the wearing of hijab is mandatory, and that was one of the main protests last year, where they killed so many women for not following that rule in the name of moral policing. And today, if you see any videos of Iran, then you will see that women are roaming freely without hijab, and that is not because the rule has changed. That is because they are forcing. If everyone forces, then the country has to listen, and that's exactly what is happening now. This leads to today, that what exactly lies in the future of Iran. While many online are saying that Reza Pahlavi should be the next ruler, will he be able to have such a large support? Will he be able to lead the country successfully? There's a huge question mark on that, and that is because of the very nature of this region of Middle East. Um, in the very year 1979, Saudi Arabia saw a very you know an attack or uh, a seizure of their Grand Mosque, the national symbol of Saudi, really, and of the Islamic world. They were seen as, again, very much similar to Iran. They were seen as giving in to Western allies. They were seen, the secularism and modernization was seen as against the um Islamic values, and this led to the seizure of the Grand Mosque itself, where some 400 Islamic rebels took over control of that of the mosque. And there's a very interesting story to that, that when the soldiers were brought in from other countries, particularly the French, they were not Muslims, and in Mecca you do not have any entry for non-Muslims. So they were temporarily made Muslims so that they can enter the Grand Mosque complex and fight and get the rebels to uh, go out of the situation, and the control be brought back to the Saudi government. So, and then the Arab Spring 2011 and 2012 saw massive protests, pro-democracy protests in pretty much all over the Arab world. How many of those countries are today a very well functioning democracy? Not many. Syria is in a crisis, Somalia is in a crisis, Libya far better, but even till as late as 2018, they had a lot of crises. Iraq, so in 2013, they had the attack, the Iraq Kuwait war, then US involvement, then the killing of Saddam Hussein. So there were a lot of these things happening, and how many of those countries today are at a very, very good situation? Maybe Egypt, yes. Egypt is doing much better. Some other countries are also doing much better, but not every. And the fact is, even today, Iran has supporters of the Orthodox government. And the visuals show that there was mourning. Yes, so the fact is that the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, is also the head of the Shia community. So they are also mourning the death of a religious leader. That's a fact. But how many would support a radically changing, democratic, and liberal person being their head? And well, it's no wonder that Iran is a very orthodox nation even today. And that is the story pretty much everywhere. Why is there protests in all these regions? Because there is the constant fight between the orthodox and the liberals. And also there's the problem of Kurdistan. In fact, Kurdish nationalist Kurdish protests led to many of these coups. The first coup was led because there was a fallout between the Kurdish leader and the Qajar dynasty. Same in the next one. So there is also these factors which play a huge role. And in fact, if you look at Afghanistan, why is the Taliban government functioning so well? Because they have local support. Because majority of people support them. Yes, they are so opposed to women getting rights, but women do not make the majority. And the grouping and having large women support is going to be impossible. And Islamic Revolution is why it is such a important moment in history, that you do not find in the Islamic world, Middle East, that women lead a protest, women lead a revolution, a regime change. And the Iranian Revolution, the Islamic Revolution, was one of them. And maybe if all women, because as we saw last year one girl was killed brutally, then the next one, then the next. But then when all women started removing their veil and having the freedom to um, go out not covering their hair, everyone, as now it is de facto the rule now. There is no need to have that mandate. And that really is maybe how things will work in Iran in the future. And let's just hope that whatever happens, women get rights, and it no longer represents something that is out of prehistory, out of history, where women no longer be wedded at the age of 9. And may that not be the law soon in Iran. Let's hope for the best. Let's hope that not many civilians die, because, well, the ultimate result of any war is the death of common people, death of people in general, and nothing really happens at the end of a war. Pretty much has been the history in the Middle East, at least. Nothing ever happens, but let's hope that rights are granted at the very least. Thank you for watching.